Rahim. Tonight is 21st of Sha'ban 1441, and we are starting our two-part discussion on Ramadan, and we will start with the chapter of fasting in the book of Al-Wajiz, the concise presentation of fiqh, of the Sunnah and the noble book. Fasting. The ruling of the fast. Fasting the month of Ramadan is one of the pillars of Islam and one of its obligatory acts. And Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 183, translates in English as, "O you who believe, observing the fast is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, and that you may become pious."
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. This is one of two talks that will be focused upon Ramadan and the month of Ramadan. I know that two talks are not enough, but inshallah if we have as well in Ramadan itself other talks that will include which things that people are in need of, then inshallah we will not hesitate to continue in the month of Ramadan. But until today or till tonight, we haven't really set any timetable. Are the classes going to be running on inshallah or not? We will talk about that inshallah afterwards. But in the second class and next week, everything will be more clear. The issue is as well that this Ramadan is different from the Ramadan that you have experienced and I have experienced as well, where the masajid, most likely they're going to be still closed in most of the countries, even including the Muslim countries. Very rare you're going to find a country where they're going to open their masajid, including this country. Still, the pandemic, it's at peak, and the peak hasn't really yet maybe reached, or maybe it's been reached, but for it to go down, it's going to take about a month and a half or two, Allahu A'lam. So most likely what we see that Ramadan is going to be different. The masajid were going to be closed. So there are going to be a lot of questions. When we have entered this lockdown, or so-called lockdown, we thought that we're going to have more time. For me, I had less time than I used to have before the coronavirus. I have found that the people, especially the Muslims of course, they're so hungry for the religion and the deen. And we became now addicted WhatsApp, WhatsApp addicted. And from the morning until 3 o'clock in the morning, from the morning until the 3 o'clock in the morning, just on WhatsApp. Have food on WhatsApp, teach, answer questions, answer this person and that person. And every time I try to, go to as less as, for example, 500 messages, to try to answer, they go up another 500. So Allah al-Musta'an, نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعيننا وأن يفسح في أوقاتنا. So this hunger for the religion, it shows that the people, they have realized that the religion is the way that they will protect themselves in such situations. And Ramadan is the moment as well, as I said, is approaching. So it's only 10 days or so. We'll be in the month of Ramadan. And as I said, you're going to be spending it in your house. So you're going to be asking questions regarding how to invest in my time, how to pray my tarawih. All these questions, I'm sure that our doctor here, he will be sifting through them and see what is important and what is not important. So I will focus tonight as much as I can in passing some of the rules, and then we will leave most of the time for the questions and answers, because from the question and answers as well we're going to be studying Ramadan. When we talk about the month of Ramadan, always we talked about two parts. Part which is to do with the fiqh, and the part which is to do with the aqidah, which is the taqwa. Okay? And you need to know that this fiqh is actually the means to this aqidah. So the fasting for people, which is abstaining from food and drink and sexual intercourse from the morning until the sunset, this is the materialistic fast, which is the path to the target. And the target is the taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is the spiritual fast. So if your fast of the materialistic did not lead you to the goal, which is taqwa of Allah, then there is something wrong here. So as much as you're keen to know what is invalidators for the fast or not, you need to know what is going to scratch the fast of yours. So this fast of ours should not be, for example, spent on, it's called Netflix. I can't even pronounce that name, Netflix or something, or the movies. We're going to spend it on, inshallah, more focus on the deen and the Quran. Especially some of us, they don't work anymore. So let's work on our deen, bi-idhnillah. It's very important that to take this opportunity and focus upon the deen, bi-idhnillah. And also to memorize some of the Quran, because we're going to talk about as well making you taraweeh in the house. First verse that he quoted, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. This verse in its own needs a lecture, but in general we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse, number one, He addressed the believers in the best of the names, O you who believe. Number two, He is Allah Azza wa Jal imposing upon us the fast in a way that is telling us, I'm your Lord, and I could say to you, fasting is obligatory upon you, but He's calling us with this best name, and also He's saying that I am making this obligatory like I made it obligatory on those who were before you. Look at that. Allah, He has got the right to say it's obligatory upon you. But He said, I'm making it, oh you believe. It's like when you ask somebody who is rich to give money for charity. Say, oh generous man. So Allah will say, oh you have believed in me. You believed in my prophets. You believed in my angels. You believed in the last day and you believed in the qadr. Oh you who believe. Siyam was made obligatory upon you, just like it was made obligatory before you. And even before us was much harder. And if I go into that as well, it needs another talk. But as I said, we're going to give just points here and milestones. Just like it was made obligatory upon those before you, so that you may attain taqwa. It's very rare you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran where He links what He imposes upon us with what is the reason. For example, we have Hajj, but we don't have the Hajj. What is the hikmah behind it? We have it in the Sunnah. But in the Quran, we don't have the link. Yes, for the Salah we do. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha wal munkar. Salah prohibits you from the fahsha and the munkar. All this which is no good, evil doing. That's the purpose. Now this siyam is obligatory. Why? So that you attain taqwa. That's the taqwa that we are after, which is seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure in this dunya and seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure for the sake of getting into paradise. That's our goal from this month. And this month is the month of hasanat and also the month of burning sayyi'at. It's called Ramadan. Ramadan burning, it's a burner. It's a sin burner. So to burn the sayyi'at and to gain the hasanat. طيب. Now, also we have a number of verses indicating that the fast is to be obligatory. One have, for example, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. And also we have the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. The Prophet said that Islam is being built upon 5. One of them is to fast Ramadan. And it is a consensus with all the sects of this ummah, all of them, even including the Rafidah. Okay? If they don't really believe in Ramadan is to be a month of fasting, they are outside the fold of Islam. So Ramadan is a necessity known by religion. As soon as you enter Islam, you have to know it and you have to fast it. This is the only fast which is obligatory, unless you obligated fast upon yourself by yourself, like you made a vow. But by Allah Azza wa Jalla, it is the only month that is obligatory upon you. Other than that, is all of it voluntary, except what you make obligatory upon yourself. Okay? So if you, for example, violated an oath, there's an option there, okay, which is if you haven't got the capacity to go and set a slave free, if you haven't got the capacity to feed or clothe poor people, then you fast 3 days. They become obligatory because of you. Now the virtues of the fast, what do you gain? Plenty. But to say that hadith which is sumu tasihhu, fast, you get healthy, and some of the people that fast them might die, especially the diabetics. So it's not true to say that, unless hadith is not authentic. So the fast in general is healthy, yes. But in particular cases, it's haram upon you to fast. In general, it is healthy. In general, the worst of thing that you will need to fill up is your stomach. If you fill it up, you're going to end up toilet, can't sleep properly, puking, all of that. As a spiritual benefit, it's plenty. Prophet ﷺ, he says, Man sama Ramadan, he who fasts Ramadan, imanan wa ihtisaba, believing in it, believing its obligation, believing that Allah Azza wa Jalla will impose upon me what is beneficial for me, ihtisaba, hoping for the reward, not timing himself. When it comes to Ramadan, he's just sleeping all day, and he just wakes up for food, and then he's back again to the games and films and movies, and back again to the sleep. That's not Ramadan. So you're hoping for the reward, and you believe in its obligation, and you're happy. You're waiting for that month. It's not a person who says, oh, again? It's just, we had Ramadan not far off. Not a long time ago. It's like he's like not happy with Ramadan. This one is not going to be included in this. Then he will have his sins, all of them. Previous one, forgiven. Ramadan ila Ramadan. Al-Jumu'atu ila Jumu'ah. Allah's Messenger, he says that the Jumu'ah to the Jumu'ah, Ramadan ila Ramadan. So we have Jumu'ah to the Jumu'ah, from the Jumu'ah to the Jumu'ah, and Ramadan to Ramadan. All of those sin expiators. So from Ramadan to Ramadan, sin expiator. The hadith, which is the mighty hadith of Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allah Azza wa Jal said, which is a hadith qudsi. كل عمل ابن آدم له. All the acts of the son of Adam is to be for him, except for fasting, as it is for me. See, we do prayers and we do all sorts of ibadah. All of that, say, Allah, this is for you. Even it's for Allah. But part of it, when you pray, you might beautify your prayer because one person is looking at you. But Ramadan, subhanAllah, which is fasting, comes with sincerity. So sincerity is in the package already. Because when you fast, nobody knows that you're fasting, except if you said to them, by the way, I'm fasting. So the fast is an act of ibadah which is abstaining. Whereas the prayer, doing. Hajj, doing. But the fast is what? You're not doing a fast. You are what? Abstaining from food and drink. You could call that an action, but when you abstain from something, nobody would notice because, nobody would notice. So if somebody stayed not married and nobody knows from him, from his family, he would not notice if he's not married or married. Same thing here. This is that if you abstain from the food and the drink, nobody knew that you're fasting. When was the last time you have eaten food? And that is why it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only that, He will give the reward for it, which is in abundance. Nobody knows how much. We have the hasanat from, that is one hasana up to 10 times, up to 700 times. But you can't, and you'll not be able to know what Allah had prepared for the fasting person. Because He said, وَإِنَّهُ لِي, and it is for me, and I am the one who is going to recompense for it. يَدَعُ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ وَشَهْوَتَهُ مِنْ أَجْلِهِ. He abandons and he leaves off his food and a drink and his sexual desires for the sake of mine. That's why Allah is going to give it special. Imagine, as I said a number of times to the brothers or students of mine, as to make this example close to your head, that is somebody who's working in a company and he's doing something which is very good. And the head of the company, the boss or the owner, he decided to honor him. Something which is special. Okay? So he gave to everybody their salaries, which was up to 700 times, multiple. But this person, he said, your reward, your wages is with me. If he said just that word, how many people from his colleagues are going to ask him, how much did he give you? Did he tell you how much? How much is that? Everybody's going to be curious just to know how much is he going to give him? Because he said, your reward is with me. Your wages, I'm going to give it to you. Nobody will know. SubhanAllah. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to us that all your hasanat is known. One time up to 700 multiple. But this one is a special. And he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, that the Prophet ﷺ also said that if, in that hadith, now the Prophet ﷺ is saying that if it happens to be that the fasting day of yours, then do not speak obscenity. Do not behave ignorantly. If one to fight you or provoke you or revile you or anything of that, just say that I'm fasting. So retaliation is not in this month. My retaliation is to say I'm fasting. Just like I'm fasting and abstaining from food and drink, I'm abstained as well from retaliation and as well fighting you back or insulting you, which I'm capable of doing that. Jannah has gates. One of those 8 gates is called gates of Ar-Rayyan, with consensus of all scholars. Ar-Rayyan. The gate is only for those people who fast. The fast will be compulsory. The following title, please. Just the title.
The fasting becomes obligatory upon sighting the moon is our next title, Ustadh.
So, right. So it is compulsory with sighting the moon. Now we know that because of the lockdown, don't think will be people going sighting the moon. So we're going to be depending upon most likely that the Saudi Arabian, what they've done, going to be doing there, inshallah, from the sighting. So there will be a Lajna committee sighting the moon. But still we have, as unfortunately, people depend upon calendar. They don't really sight. They don't really sight. So, which is, we have to sight. This is from the Sha'air al-Islam, the symbols of Islam. We have to sight. Just like we have Udhiyah. We cannot substitute the Udhiyah with presents. We have to slaughter the animal. This one is sighting the moon. It is important to sight the moon to know our months. So we sight on the night which is, that is, the 29th. 29th. Either it's going to be the 29th. Sorry, we sight on the 29th day. So the 29th day is the following night. It will be the 29th night. And it will be, tomorrow is either the 30th of Sha'ban or it will be the 1st of Ramadan. If we sight the moon after Maghrib, then it will be tomorrow Ramadan. If we don't sight the moon, then we continue Sha'ban to be 30 days. Some would as well sight 2 days before, in case maybe we did not do the proper sighting for the month of what? Sha'ban. So that would be even out of precautionary measures. The month will be established by the sighting of one person. But that depends as well upon the mahkamah, that is, the court to decide. If calculation said, for example, tomorrow is most likely is the 30th, it's not the 1st of Ramadan, and we had only one person, maybe the court will not accept his testimony. But usually it is the case at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, one person, if he's not even known, as long as he's a Muslim, trustworthy, khalas, we don't have to have a tawatur, as we say, tawatur. No, just one person will be enough for sighting. And the sighting has to be a communal. So if you sighted the moon on your own, and you saw it, you came to the court, and the court did not take your sighting, or did not take the sighting of others, and they decided tomorrow is the 30th of Sha'ban, you may not do your own Ramadan. Unless you are on your own, and you have no connection with the people, with the world. So you fast according to your sighting. But if you connected to the place where you live in, then you have to fast with their fasting, break your fast for the Eid with the breaking. You can't have your own Eid, you can't have your own Ramadan. It has to be all together. Our Udhiyah together, our Eid-ul-Fitr is together, and also our Ramadan is together. This was the following title, which is how the month is to be established. We said it's one person. Abdullah ibn Umar sighted the moon, and he was a teenager, and his sighting was accepted. As for the sighting of the end of the month, for the Eid-ul-Fitr, the hadith says that basically that 2 witnesses is one witness is enough. Difference among the scholars. Most of the scholars they say it is 2 witnesses are needed. Okay, but the one witness at the beginning is being established with authenticity, that there was sighting of one person. So this is ikhtilaf, and we leave this ikhtilaf to the great scholars or the major scholars of the time to decide if it is 2 or 1 is enough. Upon whom? Column title.
The next title is upon whom it is obligatory.
Read, please.
The scholars are in agreement that the fast is obligatory upon every sane, adult, healthy, non-traveling Muslim. In addition, women must also be pure of menses or postpartum bleeding.
Right, so it is not compulsory. So it is compulsory upon the Muslim. So the non-Muslim, even if he fasts, his fast will not be accepted. So if a non-Muslim wants to try Ramadan, like some of them they do, they want to see or maybe participate or maybe sort of integrate, they call it integration. I mean, okay, yeah, you do your fast with us, but we're not going to do Christmas with you. You have to know that. So what you do with us is actually to please Allah Azza wa Jal, but we cannot participate in something that will displease the Almighty Azza wa Jal regardless. We cannot compromise our deen. You want to integrate in this way? Yes, you could come and stay in the masjid and do your fast and break the fast with us, inshallah. You're welcome to do that. But as a Muslim, we're not going to go and participate in a church and start singing and say that this is, integration. That's not correct. And I was today addressed the question regarding, are we allowed to open the masajid for the Christian or non-Muslim to pray their prayers inside the masajid? And I've answered that. It is on in a clip which has been put onto the YouTube. You can just refer to it. But the answer in general, that is the hadith of Wafd Bani Najran is not authentic, where the Prophet ﷺ, he had allowed them to offer their prayers inside. But if he was authentic as well, we say this is for maslahah. But to open it just for everybody to come here and do their shirk, it's not allowed. But if it's maslahah, they came to listen to a talk of Islam, and somehow one of them is dedicated to his own prayer, and his time of his prayer came in, you just could go to the corner or a room in the masjid, no problem, to offer his own prayer, because this is a maslahah. He's listening to the Islam. Now, it says here, as well compulsory upon the same. So the insane is not going to be held responsible whether he fasts or not fast. It's not going to be accounted for him. He's going to have a special test on the day of resurrection. So whether he's fasting or not fasting, it's not going to count for him or against him. On the day of resurrection, he'll have a special test. And it says here, as-sahih al-muqim. Sahih means the healthy. So if you're not healthy, then either it's chronic or non-chronic disease. Chronic illness, we're going to deal with it, which is long-term illness that you're going to be having the expiation route, okay, which is al-fidya. Not expiation, should I call it? Fidya. Ransom. Better word. Okay? The one which is non-chronic, like a flu, COVID-19, okay, something like this, God forbid, then as soon as you get healthy, you need to make up for that missed fast. As for the muqim, means the resident. If you are on a journey, you have the option whether you want to fast or not to fast. But if you break the fast, then you do it as soon as possible. You may not break the fast and you make up a journey during Ramadan, because it's going to be a long time, in order to postpone your making up of the fast in winter because of short days. It's not allowed to do that. So if you are intentionally doing this, just you're making a journey where there's no journey, in order to break your fast in the days which are maybe long for you, because you want to make up for them in December, where it's going to be short, that's not allowed. Unless you have a guarantee from the death angel that he's going to let you live until that time, which you're not going to have that. And also the woman, she has to be not on her menses. If she has on her menses or postnatal blood, she may not fast, she may not pray. As for her prayer, she does not make up for the prayer. But as for the fast, she will make up for the fast, unless she is in the category of pregnancy or breastfeeding, as we're going to see, inshallah. Tfaddal. Following title.
The following title is, what is obligatory upon the elderly and permanently ill?
No, there's one which is better. Fasting or breaking the fast. You don't have that title? Straight away. After that, which is better, fasting or not fasting, regarding the ill or the journey, or the person who's in journey?
Yeah, it is there, but without a subtitle. That's
okay,
why
so make a subtitle for that. Right. So, in terms of the person who is traveler, it depends which one is better for him. But he needs to know that fasting while you're on a journey is not a good sign of, it's not a sign of righteousness. لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. So that's number one. So if you think it's more rewardable to fast while I'm on a journey, you're wrong. Number two, it is haram upon you to fast while you're on a journey, and that journey is going to affect your life. So if you're going to fall unconscious, like that man at the time of the Prophet when he was on a journey, and he fell down and everybody was around him. So the Prophet said, there is no righteousness in making fast and the traveling. Give him water. He doesn't want to have water. He was continue to give him water, make him to break his fast. Compulsory. So you are throwing yourself into danger here. So if you are on a journey and you felt that you can't have it, break your fast. I mean, even if you're not a traveler, if you reach that point, you break your fast. How about if you're a traveler, you got a concession? If you're not a traveler, let's say, for example, you're doing a hard job. You're not allowed to break the fast, but you go into the hard job that you need to do, because you can't stop it because you're poor, you have to have some money to run your life. So you did the job, and during the middle of the day, you collapse. Oh, straight away, break your fast. So how about if you are already having the concession when you are a traveler? So these 2 points, bear it in mind. There's no righteousness or extra reward for fasting while you are in traveling. Number 2, that if your fast is going to jeopardize your life while you are a traveler, then you may not fast. These are the 2. As in later on, which one is better, depends upon. Some people find it's comfortable to fast, and that's better for him. It's concession. Some people find it, no, well, it is better for me to, so some of them, they find it's better to fast because they can't find it easier for them to compensate later on. It's better for them to fast. And some of them find it, no, it's better for me to take the concession and also later on to make the fast because in my journey, it's basically, I like to be on top of my form, concentrating and focusing, so no problem. So you take your food, and then later on, you compensate for the fast. That's a concession. And Allah, He likes you to take His concession, just like He hates for you to take or embark upon His sins, or as much as He loves you for as well to take His obligatory. He likes you to do the concession of His, but not on the expense of, jeopardizing your situation. Then it talks about the hayd wal nifas, which is the menstruated women and the postnatal women, and the woman, she came to Aisha radiallahu anha. She asked her, why is it that we make up for the fast, we don't make up for the prayer? She said, are you from the Khawarij? You're from the Khawarij? You're asking this question? That's what we used to do. Why do you implement your mind in something we should not do that? Because it's Allah's decision. This is the Prophet ﷺ's decision. This is the deen. We take it like that. Right. Now, if you fasted during the menstruation and the blood came out just before sunset, your fast is invalidated. If the blood of menses did not stop until after Fajr, you may not fast that day. Now, as for the following title.
Next is what is obligatory upon the elderly and the permanently ill or chronically ill.
Okay. So the elderly, whether it's male or female, old man, old woman, or the one who is chronically ill, diabetic, for example, doctor said to him, don't fast, because fasting is no good for you. So this is permanent. Because it's permanent, there is no such way of compensating by making up the days. So the compensation will be, that is the fidya. Fidya is half a sa', and that is almost a kilo and a half, let's say, kilo and a half of rice, kilo and a half of barley, kilo and a half, okay? Or feeding, just for every day, feeding a poor person, whatever is easier for you. So let's say 30 days that you did not fast, then it's 30 days multiplied by 1.5 kilo, that's about 45 kilos of rice being given to the person, but you need to know that this food is to be given to the person on either daily basis or after. So, if you broke the fast on the first day, so you could give the 1.5 kilo or the meal for that one day. You cannot give 30 meals beforehand. You're not allowed to give the fidya before, you go and not to fast. So I give an example for this. It's like stopping the policeman and you say to him, this is £100. He says, what for? You say, well, I'm going to speed next week, so this is for my speeding ticket. So you can't really pay your ransom until you violate. Once you violate, which is once you break the day, then you feed. So you could give it at the end of the Ramadan all together, or on daily basis, or in every 5 days, whatever. And it has to be food. You could give it to the third party in money, and that third party will hand it over in food to the poor person. As for the following title,
the pregnant or nursing women.
Pregnant or nursing women, there's lots of question about them. We say to the women, pregnant or nursing, that you have one of these options. One option is to fast. And that is consensus with all scholars. Fast. Second option, not to fast. But when you don't fast, that is, you make the fidya. You pay the fidya. Third option is that not to fast and make up for the days. And that is, we don't agree with this. Because either you fast or you don't fast and give the fidya. But to make up for the days, there's not a strong proof for that. And then another one, which is you don't fast and then you make up plus you make the fidya. And that is the weakest, even though it's supported by a number of scholars. Correct opinion, which Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, that the old man, old women, and also with them he added the hubla, which is the pregnant, and the murdi', which is the suckling woman, the one who suckles, that they give food. Now he had added a phrase here, it's misunderstood, which is that in khafata, if they were scared or afraid on their babies. Well, see, most of the women are afraid on their children, whether they are suckling or they are pregnant. But that phrase hasn't got any meaning. We say it's just like kharajat makhraj al-ghalib. It's most likely that they are all of them, they're fearing for their children. So this woman, if she's pregnant, she has, because she's scared that her baby it will not going to get the proper food if she's fasting. Same thing when she's breastfeeding. Some of the women, they will not produce milk or proper milk or enough milk if they don't have food. So the door is open for them. That is, not to fast and pay fidya. Just like the old man, the old women, and also the one who's diagnosed by a chronic long-term illness. Go ahead.
The pillars of the fast.
Pillars of the fast, now he's talking about. Fadal.
Number one, the intention.
Intention is important. And the intention here is a two types. One intention that you're fasting all Ramadan for the sake of Allah. That's the intention of aqeedah, sincerity. Second intention that he's talking about, the intention that I am intending to fast an obligatory day. It's not that I have an option, maybe to fast tomorrow, maybe not. If you do that, that will not going to count as Ramadan. Now this one has to be done the night before. Now, is one intention enough for the whole of Ramadan? Or is it, I have to do it in every night? Okay. The scholars have differed, but they have an agreement about one thing, which is that if, for example, in the middle of Ramadan or any day in Ramadan, you have traveled or you got ill, or the woman, she got her menses and she broke her fast. Once she resumes her fast again, they have to renew the intention. That's a common ground. You have to do the intention. And the intention has to be done, that is, during the night. Before Fajr, that's your intention. During the night, that's after Maghrib. So if, for example, you have taken your breaking of the fast, when you break your fast, and you intended already, that's an intention. If you made your sahur, that's an intention. Nobody will make sahur and he doesn't want to fast the day. I don't think so. He's going to wake up everybody for the sake of just enjoying food 2 o'clock in the morning, and he doesn't intend to do Ramadan. So we say that's an intention. Intention is not really standing before the mirror and repeating some words which has been innovated by some people. I intend to fast tomorrow for the sake of Allah. No such thing. It's just something which is in the heart. It is your will to do something. And when I say in the heart, it doesn't mean you repeat these words in the heart. No, it's that you know what you're doing. Okay? But the scholars, they give an example of a person that, for example, that this person, he had fasted the day, but in the middle of the day, okay, he slept. He slept. And he did not wake up until after Fajr. So he did not do it with intention. Do you understand that he slept after and he woke up after Fajr the following day? Can he fast the following day or not? That's we say that if his intention, that's the scholar will say that if his intention from the beginning of Ramadan to fast the whole of Ramadan, inshallah it will work. Because we have Qais ibn Sirmah radiyallahu anh. This is the fast at the beginning of Ramadan. When Allah imposed Ramadan upon the believers in the year 2nd after Hijrah, the fast was really just as follows, that if you have to break your fast, you have to break your fast at the time. If you don't break your fast, you have to wait for the following day. Qais ibn Sirma, he was so tired from work. He came to the house and he said to his wife, have you got any food? She said, no. Go and get some food. So you have to eat it before he sleeps. So she went to the neighbors to get some food. Once she got back, because he was knocked down and exhausted, he slept. And if he sleeps, even if she wakes him up, that's it. He has to be awake when he breaks his fast. So she said, Khaybatan lak. Oh, what a loser you are. So the following day, because now it's going to be more than 36 hours he's been fasting. The following day, in the midday, okay, he kept fasting. So his intention was what? Carried on. In the middle of the day, he collapsed because he couldn't continue. Upon that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made takhfif for us as Muslims. That the fast is not like the ones before. So you could really, when you are from the sunset until dawn, you could come to your wife, you could sleep, you could and wake up and have food again and sleep. It doesn't matter as long as between sunset and Fajr, dawn. So you have this option, alhamdulillah. So this how we say that it is, if the person has already had intention from the beginning of Ramadan, it's enough, inshallah. And also if you do your sahur, it will be with the agreement of all scholars. Second one is that you have to abstain from the fast breakers. Fast breakers. Okay, so what are the fast breakers? Number 1 and 2?
The 6 matters in this book, the listed matters, which breaks the fast. Number 1 and 2 is intentionally eating or drinking.
Right, so these are breakers, and as I said, these breakers are, as well, they need a class on their own, but we have to go them very fast, inshallah. So these are the materialistic ones that break your fast. You have to abstain from dawn to sunset, from food and drink deliberately. So if you have forgotten, you've eaten, you've forgotten, that's no problem. So because most of the people do not really fast al-ithnain wal-khamis and they just suddenly to fast Ramadan, they will make a mistake on the first day. So if you had eaten and you didn't know, stop eating once you realize, and inshallah. And if you see somebody eating, he didn't know, tell him off. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this, alhamdulillah, this sadaqah, that you've eaten your food and yet it will be counted for your fasting because you didn't know. But once you know, you stop. Or a person, also he had eaten and drank deliberately, but he didn't know it was dawn yet. He thought it was before dawn. Maybe his clock was not working properly. So as soon as he realizes, he stops. Or he had eaten before sunset. He thought it was sunset, no problem. Or this person, he is during the day and he's fasting and he eating and drank something, he thought it does not what? Break the fast. So for example, he was helping somebody, like the old days, somebody's car is just run out of diesel or petrol. We used to do it ourselves. We put the pipe, but not anymore because you can't put the pipe anymore. There's a filter there, it stops you. Put the pipe to take some petrol from one car to another. And we usually sucks and some of the petrol goes inside our stomach. So this person, he'd done it and he believes that, he thought that the petrol does not break the fast. It will not break the fast. But if we told him, brother, regardless of what you drink, even if you drink poison, that will break your fast. Maybe it will kill you, but it will break your fast. Then it will break his fast as soon as he knows. Same thing with the food. Some people, I've seen them chewing pieces of paper. He doesn't know that chewing the piece of paper and swallowing it, if he knows that it breaks the fast, it will break the fast. But if he didn't know, it will not break his fast. So, alhamdulillah, food and drink deliberately and also with the knowledge. Also with what? With the knowledge. What about if you've been under the gunpoint, it will not break your fast. So somebody said to you, break your fast or I'll kill you. So, okay, you drank just to satisfy him. When he's gone, you can continue the day and your fast is still counted. Right, third one.
Number 3, vomiting intentionally.
Vomiting intentionally. That means you're putting your hand into your mouth and you start to get your food out. That will break your fast. But if the vomit had overcome you, you couldn't control it. Okay, it's coming out and you're helping yourself to, but it's coming out. It's just out, but you're just pushing it because it's going to suffocate you, choke you up. Then it will not break your fast. Number 4 or 5.
4 and 5, menstruation and postpartum bleeding.
And that's from the breakers of the fast. We have no, power to stop them. Once this happens, straight away, okay, these are from the breakers of the fast, which we call them min al-darura. It means necessity. You have no option. Number
6
so
is
postnatal and we said
and menstruation.
Number 6.
And number 6 is the marital relationship, sexual intercourse.
Sexual intercourse. Sexual intercourse, and here is the penetration. So if the person had ejaculated without penetration, it does not break the fast. Ejaculation, so if the person looked at his wife or somehow touched his wife and ejaculated, okay, he does not break the fast. The difference among the scholars regarding that this person deliberately wanted to ejaculate, that he had, made mubashara, embracing his women, he's dribbling with his wife and all of that. For the sake of, ejaculating, that's where the difference among the scholars. Where does it break the fast or not? But penetration is the one that with ijma' jima' means sexual intercourse. Penetration in ijma' means consensus of the scholars that it will invalidate your fast. Not only that, it will entail the heavy penalty. What is the heavy penalty? Number 1, that is, you have to, set a slave free, but you can't now. There's no slaves. So fast 60 days. 2 months, I should say. Consecutively. Number 2, that is, you have to, if you can't, you have to go and feed 60 poor people. Number 2, you have to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 3, you have to make up for that day as well. So the day is different from the fasting of the penalty. Okay. So if you can't fast the 60 days, then we go to feeding the 60 poor people. Right. This is called al-jima'. And we have a hadith which is in your book. Please read it. It's a very fascinating hadith which tells us that what about the woman? Does she break her fast or not? Controversial amongst the scholars, but we say the women included, unless she's been forced. But if she is the one, she told him to do it, okay. Right. If this had happened only in Ramadan, the penalty. If this jima', let's say that you're compensating a day of Ramadan, that's different. It's only in Ramadan. Okay? So you make an, this is in Ramadan. And if the fast is obligatory on both of you, so if you're travelers, you could intercourse, you could eat, because you're travelers. Because you had an option, concession. Right. I'm sure there will be plenty of questions regarding these issues. If you want to ask a question, I'm just leaving lots of gaps there for you to go and ask questions. Go on, after that.
After that, you have added in our previous sessions of fiqh about, there are a couple of more. Number 7 is substitute
I added them here as well.
Yeah.
That is, we say that also from the breakers of the fast, that is the what do you call it? The glucose.
Substitute of food and drink.
Yeah, the substitute of the food, which is for example, any injection which intended to, not nourishment, for food. So what do you call it? The glucose drip. But nourishment, no problem. So if injection on your side, injection of anesthetic for dental, all of that does not break your fast.
Vaccine.
Okay, vaccine, all of that does not break. So if you've got a vaccine for COVID-19, it does not break your fast. Okay, so it's only the one which is intended for food, like the drip. You're going to ask me maybe so many questions regarding for example, the toothpaste is going to break the fast and all of this. I'll leave that. Does the blood break the fast? I'll leave it for the questions. Okay? But we cannot really break the fast unless there's something very obvious. So, for example, somebody's still asking the fact, maybe the phlegm. Okay? If it is in your mouth, it's very good to go and throw it. Came out. But if you swallowed it, it does not break your fast. Unless you put it outside on the table and start licking it. Even if it's yours, if it came out and you took it in, and I'm sorry to make you discuss it with this, it will break your fast because it came a foreign body now. As for blood coming out, blood coming in, okay, whether it's in or out, that blood does not break your fast. As what the breaker, what is that?
There's one you mentioned before, controversial one is hijama.
Hijama is, we said that the breakers are 9. 7 of them we have most consensus, and 2 which are in difference of opinion. One of the 2 which is difference of opinion, which is ejaculation. Okay, difference of opinion. And the second one, which is hijama. These are difference of opinion regarding them. Hijama is cupping. So you make cupping with blood, cutting. And the correct opinion, it does not break the fast. It was at the beginning, but later on the Prophet ﷺ, he made hijama while he was fasting. Okay, so that would abrogate the first hadith. So the hijama, it does not. And Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, breaking of the fast is something coming in, not coming out. So when we make hijama, we cut, blood comes out. Now, anything that would break the fast has to go through the mouth or the nostrils. Or the nostrils here? Nose, yes. These are the 2 that will go to the stomach. So if you put water into your ears, it does not break the fast. If you put water into your eyes, even there is a canal that goes into that, but it does not break the fast. Okay, so nobody would eat food and drink from his eyes or his ears. So these are the 2. That's why we say the drip is not coming through the nose or the mouth, coming from the blood, but because the intention of it is to feed the person can stay days without food and drink. That's why we say, anyway, somebody in this situation, he needs to break his fast anyway. He's not in a state where he's able to and powerful to make the fast. Yes, now.
So our next subheading is the etiquette of fasting.
Etiquette of fasting, no? Number 1?
Number 1, the pre-dawn meals.
Pre-dawn meal, don't leave it for this. It's barakah. That's number 1. Prophet says barakah. Number 2, he said that the angels will invoke forgiveness for those who makes the sahur. Okay? So that is a barakah. And it's also in care as well. It is an intention in itself. When you went to the sahur, khalas, that's an intention for your fasting the day. Number 4, gives you strength. When you eat, it will give you strength to, withhold this fast, which is going to be maybe a bit hard on you when the day is long. So when you have the food, mashallah, you'll stay with healthy. So all of that, and of course, imitation of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions. You make it as late as possible. That's the best. So just about half an hour before dawn. Second one, and by the way, it could be done as little as water. So if you can't have the appetite to have food, just drink water. Gulp of water is enough. Number 2?
Number 2, refraining from vain speech, foul language, and other acts that do not befit the fasting.
Well, you have to do that all year round, but this is more emphasized in Ramadan, that you shouldn't really be indulging in something that would scratch your fast. Number 3?
Number 3, generosity and studying the Quran.
And of course, generosity has to be as well all the time, but the peak is always, the Prophet ﷺ will be in Ramadan. Same thing with, this is the month of Quran, and studying the Quran. Finish the Quran with its interpretation. Number 4?
Number 4, hastening in breaking the fast.
Hastening the breaking of the fast. So when you break the fast, hasten the breaking of the fast. Straight away, as soon as the mu'adhin says, and as long as he makes it the adhan on time. If he doesn't, just do it on time yourself. And that's why the mu'adhin is to be breaking his fast before he triggers his adhan. He breaks his fast himself, and then with dates, and then he will make the adhan. So ta'jeel. And the Prophet said that my ummah is upon good, upon strength, upon triumph, upon victory, as long as they hasten the breaking of the fast and delay their pre-dawn meal. Number 5?
Number 5, breaking the fast with what is mentioned in the hadith, and if it is easy to do so.
That is fresh dates. If you can't find fresh dates, then dry dates. If you can't find dry dates, then water. So that's how you break your fast. And by this sunnah, then you'll be able to do two things which are upon the sunnah. And that is to hasten the breaking of the fast and hasten the prayer of the Maghrib. Prophet said this, my ummah is upon good as long as you do not delay the Maghrib until the stars appears. مَا لَمْ يُؤَخِّرُ الْمَغْرِبِ. Don't delay the Maghrib. The Maghrib is to be prayed at the beginning of this time, straight away. That's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Number 6.
And number 6 is making the supplication stated in the following hadith upon breaking
ذهب
one's
الظمأ
fast.
وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. Say that in Arabic, inshallah, will It will be better for you. That is, ذهب الظمأ, thirst is gone. ابتلت العروق, the veins are moist. وثبت الأجر, and the reward is confirmed, inshallah, by the will of Allah. طيب.
Next.
And by the way, there is the other dua, اللهم لك صمت وعلى رزقك أفطرت. This hadith, this beginning of it is not authentic. Just stick to that end. نعم.
Next subheading is the actions that are permissible for the fasting person.
Number one,
washing for the sake of getting cooler.
you want to get cooler, or you're going to help you to do the fast, as long as you don't drink water. You could put as much as you want water onto your face, onto your mouth, but don't inside. Okay? As well, the wudu, you have to gargle, but not vigorously, because you're fasting in case. So you can't tilt your head and start gargling, so you just rinse the mouth, okay, for the sake of the wudu. So you could have as much as nourishment of, swimming in something cooler. نعم تفضل.
Number 2, rinsing one's mouth and nose, we just mentioned.
Rinsing the mouth and
but not vigorously.
Not vigorously,
not too deep.
because you're fasting. And number 3,
medical practice of cupping or drawing blood.
The hijama, but we are not really advising you to do that, because once you do the hijama, you lose blood, and losing the blood makes you dizzy. You might, makes you to go and break your fast because of it. So it's better to delay the hijama to the moment when you are not fasting. But if you did it when you are fasting, maybe do it at the last moment before you break your fast. Because if you did it in the morning, usually when we make hijama, the person has been told to go and drink juice after that. It's hijama on fasting is the best. So you have fasting the night before. So if you want to do it just before breaking the fast, an hour or half an hour, no problem, because food is very close. But anyway, it does not break the fast. Number 4.
It just mentioned cupping and drawing blood. So those blood tests that people take.
Yeah, blood tests. Yeah, fast we call it in Arabic. Yeah, no problem, inshallah. Number 4.
Kissing or touching.
So donating blood, it does not break the fast. Okay, nah.
They don't allow us then. They don't take, no. They don't. So
because of COVID-19?
No. It's just in fear if they collapse or something. They say if you're fasting, sorry, will not take.
The fasting.
The
NHS, in this country, we take blood from you even if you're dead.
Number 4, kissing or touching one's spouse for the one who has the ability to control his actions.
I need to correct myself, because I know that even in our country they are strict as well. That if any symptoms that person suffers from, and they will ask you a number of questions, then if there's something there wrong, they will not. If it's history, medical history say there is something there, vulnerability, they will not take blood from him. Okay. The kiss and the what? Sorry?
Touching one's spouse for the one who has the ability to control
touching here is touching. So, you could have your brain to wherever you want to touch. So the touch is touch, and the kiss is the kiss. And there is no such thing, kiss with a lust and kiss without a lust. You can't switch the button, flick it up and down. You can't do that. So all these things are permissible, but they're not advisable for the person who can be carried on. If he's going to be carried with this to the intercourse, don't do it. Because they won't let you to go and do this, which is a heavy penalty now. So, but if you can control yourself, no problem. You could kiss, you could hug, you could do whatever you want with your spouse. Number 5.
Number 5 is to still be in state of sexual defilement in the morning. So
if this person was with his wife intercourse, or he had a wet dream and he had got the Fajr on, it doesn't mean that he has to be pure before the Fajr. No. He could just have the ghusl after the Fajr and fast, is no problem with it. Number 6.
Number 6, continuing the fast until the pre-dawn meal.
This is permissible, but it's not advisable. Okay? So if this person, for example, doesn't have food, or didn't have the appetite, or something had happened, he may delay his food until at the dawn. He cannot make wisal. Wisal means to join the day with the following day. Prophet of Allah used to do make wisal because Allah gives him the food, Allah gives him the drink. Now.
Number 7, to use the miswak, the toothstick, perfume, the kohol, the eye drops and injections.
All of that is permissible. Siwak, which includes as well toothpaste and toothbrush, as long as you don't swallow it. Once you rinse your mouth, even the mouth has got some taste of that fluoride. The taste is not something to break your fast, because it's a taste. It's not particles. So you get rid of the toothpaste, the toothbrush, no problem. Siwak, regardless what time you're making siwak, whether it's before the afternoon or after the afternoon, even. And when the Prophet ﷺ, he said that Allah Azza wa Jal, he treats the bad odor that comes from your stomach when you're fasting is like the fragrance of musk. This is coming from your stomach. It's not because of your mouth. Your mouth and your gums should be, always healthy with this, cleaning of your teeth, brushing it. But when you're hungry, there's another smell comes from the stomach. That smell, don't worry with it. Don't worry, because and also your toothbrush and also your siwak it's gonna be making it less, but it's not gonna get rid of it. It's gonna be there, and that is what Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is better than the fragrance of musk. طيب.
Next,
and also having the kuhl, the eyeliner says eyeliner.
It says kuhl. It doesn't.
Kuhl, which is the rod that goes into the eye. Okay, some of the people they will put the kuhl and they might taste it in their mouth. But if it is, then spit it. But still, you're allowed to put the kuhl, also the injection, and also the perfume. But listen to me. There's incense, the incense which is bakhur. If you go to the house and smell the incense, no problem. But if you go deliberately to an incense burner and you start putting yourself into it, and you start inhale it, that will bring some sort of particles into your stomach, which will break your fast. Now,
next is we added before, number 8 is tasting the food.
Tasting the food. I don't have it here. There is an extra.
No, we said we added it in our lesson.
Tasting the food for the person who is making the food. So when he makes the food, he wants to taste it salty or not salty. Yes. Now, and he's got the habit of tasting the food. So, for example, before Ramadan, he always tastes the food. But now in Ramadan, so before Ramadan, he never tasted the food, and he start tasting the food after Ramadan. That's a problem here. Now, but it will not break his fast. But it might break your fast if you left the food, you forgot about it, and you swallowed it. Now,
the last one we mentioned before in our previous lessons was inhalers.
Inhalers is of two types. The type that which is air does not break your fast, but the one turns into liquid and you could feel the liquid going in, it will break your fast. Inhalers, most of them are gas. They don't really turn into liquid, so there's no problem to use them, inshallah, while you're fasting. And up to here we stop, mashallah, we finished almost.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Right, we leave the rest of the time for the questions. Fadl.
So we just talked about the siwak, and we already answered this question, but a part of it where it says, if some blood appears while brushing the tooth, does that invalidate the fast? While brushing, sometimes from the gums, a bit of blood comes.
Any blood comes from the gums, comes from the mouth, comes from any place in the nose. Let's say you have nose bleeding, it does not break your fast. When the blood comes out of the mouth, you spit it out. If you suddenly swallowed it, doesn't matter, because you didn't mean to do that. Nobody would go and enjoy sucking his blood or eating his blood or drinking his blood. But sometimes the person doesn't realize, this tastes bizarre here, something wrong. That means blood. Don't worry, does not break your fast. Spit it out. So bleeding gum does not break your fast. Fadl.
The witness for sighting the moon, does it have to be male? Can it be females?
It has to be, these are things for male. By the way, females are in things which the females are allowed to be witnesses with. Like, for example, to witness the money, or to witness that I've said this to you. But to be a witness, for example, prescribed punishment like thieves and burglary, no, they're not accepted. Witnesses for marriages, no, there is no such thing, one man and two women, no. This ayah was mentioned for the dain, for the debt, for the loan. There's two women because the woman she might forget and the other one will remind her. But not to be a witness in these things, as only men are able to be a witness for. Now,
we did not discuss this. Our next topic is voluntary fast. So
voluntary fast, we'll keep that question keep it, inshallah. But you could ask.
It's a short one. Is there a deadline for making the intention, like until Zawal or something, for voluntary
For
fast?
a voluntary fast, the difference among the scholars is up to the Zawal, but there is no proof for that. There's no proof for that. So if this person did not eat food from the Fajr and just about half an hour before sunset realized they did not eat food whatsoever, you could have the intention and will fast until. But listen to me now, it will not be the same reward as the person who had intended in the dhuhr or in the close to the fajr. He will not have the same reward. But he will be counted as fasting the day. So even if it's 5 minutes before sunset, you realize you did not eat food, okay, I'm fasting. As for the ones who say it's in the middle of the day, where is the proof? There's no proof for that, so we say that it is allowed. And the Prophet ﷺ, he had during the day, had the compulsion of making Ashura compulsory. It was during the day. They said before afternoon, maybe after afternoon. And then he made an announcer. The ones who had eaten, let them abstain and the fast will be continued and accepted. And the ones who fasted, let them continue their fast. So the companion women even made children to fast along with them. The children to fast along with them. And they made them as well some toys. Once they start remembering the food, they give them the toys to make their mind, away from the food so they could break the fast with them. Now.
So there's two questions. It's regarding illness. So we'll try to put it together. That this brother is saying that he has illness, or the sister, with heart, and has been hospital recently, and has diabetes, and has finger prick tests for the blood sugar level, and medication daily. Does this person need to?
The best person to answer this question is the doctor himself. Diabetics for us is from those illness which is chronic illness, long-term illness. But some of them are just about diabetic. It's not really that much. So he gets it, for example, 7.5, not that much.
Borderline, yeah.
Yeah, borderline, then he's able to fast. And the doctors, if they said to him, there's no harm for you upon you if you fast. So he fasts. But the ones who are above the 8 and all of that, 9, then this is... I would say most likely the doctors will tell him that fasting is no good for you. Especially, you see, when the sugar level goes up, it's no good, but it's more dangerous if it goes down. If it goes up, it might burn a fuse. If it goes really up, made a fuse of, for example, eyesight, burns a fuse of maybe kidneys. But when it goes down, the whole system will shut down. And you collapse and you fall down. And you might be on the stairs, on top of something, and you may be driving a car, you crash into somebody else, and you cause the death of somebody else. So be careful.
Especially long days these days. So
yeah, especially I've got a doctor with me, so I can't really speak about this.
And this question is also linked to diabetes, but it's type 1 diabetes. If somebody has type 1 diabetes, do they have to fast?
I always make a mistake, which was type 1 as well.
Type 1 is the one where they have to have the injection of insulin. It's by birth. They have this diabetes from
This person,
childhood.
I'm sure the doctor will tell him not to fast.
To fast.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. No. So you make fidya, pay fidya. Pay to the third party money to bring a sack of rice, 50 kilos, and he will give it to the poor people once the Ramadan is finished or on daily basis. Now, as we have discussed.
Some masajid in Luton follow this 18-degree rule.
And I'm not sure about maybe this masjid as well. It still collects, like every year they collect the zakat. If the brothers or the administration can help me with this, that this year there will be as well collection of the fidya and all of this, please tell me now so I could read as well. Tell the people who are watching. Now.
Some of the masajid in Luton follow the 18-degree rule in regards of sahur and iftar timing. That means we open our fast very late and close the fast very, very early, giving us a very short time for iftar, maghrib, isha, sahur, and fajr. It is confusing.
Right. The degrees, and I'm talking about, he knows the degrees, 18 up to 12. Some of you use them from 12 to 18. You see, look at how much is the difference between 18 and 12. In terms of sunset, alhamdulillah, we do have almost universal sunset. But we do have a bid'ah, which has been done by so many masajid, is that you find them when it kicks into Ramadan, suddenly, let's say the Maghrib now, let's sunset. Sunset at the moment is supposed to be going forward. So for example, the Maghrib at the moment, let's say, for example, 8 o'clock, let's say, 8 o'clock. So tomorrow it has to be 8:01 or 8:02. Okay, 8:05 after 2 days, and so on and so forth. So just before Ramadan, let's say it is 8:30. So the first day, the following day, the first day of Ramadan is supposed to be 8:32, but it comes 8:25. Sorry, 8:37. They've added, instead of 2 minutes, they've added what?
Safety.
7, 8 minutes. Because safety, the reason. We don't have safety, Akhwana. The sunset is already got safety into it. So we can't add safety to safety. Crisis aid? Okay, the crisis aid, there's actually they're collecting all of that zakat money and fidya money, but you have to make sure that you write that on an envelope to make them to differentiate between normal zakah and Zakat-ul-Fitr and fidya, because each one is different category. We cannot mix up the normal zakah with Zakat-ul-Fitr and also with the fidya. So the crisis aid, they're collecting this. طيب. Coming back now to the question. What was the question?
The degrees and the
The
minutes.
degrees.
Safety minutes.
Right, the safety minutes. We say the safety minutes is not good. So if you are seeing the sun, you could just see the sun and the sunset, and you do it in front of your eyes. You don't look at the clock because the sun is in front of you. Clear. If you haven't got the sun, then you got the calendar, and it shows you which area you are in and which. Okay. But make sure that you are in a steady place. You're not going into a car, because you're going to go into a car then, or you're going in a lift to a very high building, because there might be the sunset at the bottom much earlier than the sunset which is on the top. Maybe a minute and a half or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, like Burj Al Arab, Burj Khalifa in Emirates. Between the first floor and the second floor, the last one, it's about 3 minutes because it goes really up. Okay, so make sure that you go by the calendar or the timing which is set in your area, sunset. But to do with the Fajr or the Isha, that's where the problem goes, with the Isha and the Fajr. Isha is not our concern regarding the fasting of Ramadan. It's the Fajr. The Fajr, I would say to you, you stick to your community. What are they doing? Okay. Unless you know your Fajr yourself, how to do it, to calculate it yourself. Okay, so you stick with your community. Or another option, which is that you look at the timetables of the communities. Okay, if they are reasonably close to each other, you go to the one which is earliest, because you are going to the safety now, because you don't know. So you look at them, and some of them, they go to the furthest if they are, but sometimes some people, I've seen some of the masajid, they go even above that safety zone, which is really very scary. I have seen one masjid actually in particular. But anyway, I used to say as well that if you have one more than timetable, go to the one that gives you more time for the sahur. I used to say that. But seeing that masjid made me to say, oh, hang on a second, some of the masajid, they don't fear Allah. They just put their times from their heads. Allah al-Musta'an. Third method, there is on Google, if you just say the nautical dawn in your area. So you say nautical dawn in Luton. That is very close to the Fajr, the real Fajr. Just put nautical, Nautical, nautical dawn, and you're going to end up with a website called UK Weather, and that will give you the nautical dawn. It will give you the civil and the astronomical and the nautical. Nautical is the one that is what is clear to our Fajr, very close to our Fajr. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Naam.
If someone hasn't paid fidya for a few years, can they pay it all together in this month?
They have to pay it as quickly as possible. You can pay it now for the ones for the month before. Do it now. Why are you delay it for the... And this as well drives me to another question, which is for those women who are in their menses and they have fasting, or the brothers who have been fasting, they've got missed fasting. They have to do it before the beginning of the following Ramadan. So you've got now some days to do it. You can't postpone it until the following Ramadan. That's a sin. Now,
Nasal drops for hay fever, does it break the fast?
nasal drops, either you're going to inhale them and put them inside and will break your fast, or nasal drops is just, you're going to go into the nasal and not going to go inside. You're going to take them out, just like when you put water in your nostrils. So I don't know, the doctor, what does that usually? They go inside all the way, or?
Mainly for the nose, but because it's drops, it goes back in the throat.
You taste it as well. If you taste it, it will break your fast. But if it's not, you just, because you put water in your nostrils as well, but it does not reach your throat. But you start swallowing it, it might go inside. Now.
Well, if the wife has a habit of asking her husband to taste the food to ensure his, the right spices, can she continue to ask her husband to taste the food during Ramadan?
Yani, Allah al-Musta'an. It looks like this husband is very fussy and it's causing trouble to the wife. If he used to do that before Ramadan, okay, yeah, once. You could just taste it once, yeah. If he used to do it before Ramadan. But if he never done it before Ramadan, he start doing it after Ramadan or in Ramadan, that's the problem here. Now,
Is it sunnah to delay sahur up to adhan of Fajr, like the gap of 50 verses and things like that?
yeah, this is before Fajr, not after Fajr. Before Fajr. So you make it as close as possible to the Fajr. Even if you had, let's say, for example, you started your food before Fajr and Fajr came in, let's say you had an adhan, or the clock said to you it's Fajr, or the nautical dawn time, if you had that food in front of you, continue. Doesn't matter. As long as you've started already. But if you haven't started, too late now. But if you started, continue. What's the hadith? Hadith of Rasul sallallahu إذا سمع أحدكم النداء وفي يده الإناء فلا يضعه حتى يكمل حاجته منه. Meaning, if the person is had heard the adhan is being called for the Ramadan, for the stopping the food, which is the Fajr adhan, and yet he's got in his hand the ina, meaning the pot. The pot, he means the food, the drink, and all of that. And it doesn't mean in his hand. It means like he's in front of him. He's eating. Then let him not to stop until he takes his satisfaction. Okay? Satisfaction is what is in front of you. Satisfaction. But it doesn't mean holding it in his hand. I have to keep holding it in my hand like this until the adhan. Or if it's not in my hand, that's it. I can't drink it. No, it doesn't mean that. Now.
I have been told that I do not need to fast during COVID pandemic, as it is a plague, and we do not have to fast during a plague. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. So that means we can't pray as well during the plague. No prayer. We don't pray Jama'ah outside. We will pray Jama'ah inside the house with our families. No, we pray. Sorry, we fast. And if you're being diagnosed with COVID-19, now it depends upon, because some of them, they get it, mild symptoms and hard symptoms. It depends upon you, but you have the option now.
We have been advised that there will be no Eid prayers. Okay, we'll go to Eid prayers after the Taraweeh, inshallah. The Taraweeh, with no Taraweeh in the masajid, can we pray Taraweeh at home?
Because the Taraweeh prayer, I thought it was going to be the first question. I prepared for it lots of papers here. You delayed it the last question and it's kicking now for 5 minutes. We'll leave that inshallah for next week, because that will give them as well a flavor to wait. But I was thinking that you're going to talk about the Taraweeh prayer. So
it's just the other questions also came.
So I'll end up with a question that I've had it here from some of the people. First of all, the shaving of the beard. For the doctors who are in the front line, they are the ones who are dealing with the COVID-19 patients. They said, for example, I've read some of the letters being sent to the doctors that they are talking about sensitive matter, that maybe they need to shave their beards. I've asked even scholars myself. I phoned them. I rang them up regarding this issue. Shaving off the beard has to be for extreme necessity. Extreme necessity. And here we don't have that necessity, because the person could make himself, he could even invent his own mask. I have seen a person making his own mask. He's making, mashallah, is like a spaceship sort of helmet. You could make your own mask. And alhamdulillah, we have this mask which is FFP3 with the hood, and it is enough. Okay? Maybe it's not available, but you have to make it available. But you can't just shave the beard for a simple, because those who have done it, subhanallah, they are needing of any excuse to do it. They don't need even my fatwa or the fatwa of the scholars. They just want to do it. If you want to do it, then you don't need to ask. But you want to verify what you have done, you're wrong. But if you have done it before and you shaved your beard, you didn't know, then alhamdulillah, there is no sin upon you. But if Allah knows what is in your heart. Because some people think that it is okay. Shaving of the beard, ya ikhwani, is something which is haram, and it's a major sin to do it. Right? If I had to trim the beard for one of the masks to go on, so okay, I'll trim a bit of it. That's in the second category. But to shave it, I asked one of the scholars today, he said, can't they just make their own mask? Why do they have to really cut their beards? Because they made their own mask. And Saudi Arabians, doctors, are plenty of them with beards. Plenty of them. Now, second question is regarding a hadith, which is in Sunan Tirmidhi. that is linked to Ramadan and Qiyam Ramadan. It says, "Alaykum bi qiyam al-layl." Hold on to the night prayer. And then it adds, "For verily it is the path of those who are righteous before you, and it is something that will get you closer to Allah, and it is a sin expiator, and it is prohibition against sinning. It was stoppage against sinning." This up to here is authentic, but there's an addition in Sunan al-Tirmidhi. This hadith is from Bilal and also narrated from Salman al-Farisi. An addition which is, it is going to be matrabatun lidda'i min al-jasad, that is going to expel illness from the body. And it's been circulating around the brothers to expel, so that is to make night qiyam in order to expel the disease from the body. Yes, you want to encourage people to do the qiyam, but not in the hadith, which is not correct. That hadith, as I said, up to the stoppage or preventing you from sinning is correct. So the qiyam is the path and the act of those people who are righteous. The qiyam, it is makes you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The qiyam, sin expiation. The qiyam will prevent you from making the sin. All of that's correct. But that little addition, okay, from hadith Bilal and hadith Salman, and even the Tirmidhi himself, he said it's not authentic. He said it's gharib. But the word authentic is up to that which is preventing the sin. And our Shaykh al-Albani had checked it as well, more in details, in Kitab Tamam al-Minna, في التعليق على فقه السنة, and also in Silsila al-Da'ifa, hadiths which are unauthentic. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, by which we stop here inshallah, and we'll adjourn everything for next week, bi-idhnillah, regarding all these questions, because we do have more time. Almost we finished the chapter of the fast. Assalamu alaikum.